And welcome to Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. I'm Richard Dugan, your host, and it is really a pleasure to come your way at this time to share with you some insights that we have been wanting to get to for some time with our returning guest. He's been with us, I think, 3 times now. This is his 3rd visit to our program, Dr. Paul Hanna, all the way from Chicago, Illinois. A long way to go, but not that far. And we're so happy to have him with us again here on the program, because today we are going to talk about something that everybody who is living today is doing, is experiencing, but you're not necessarily aware and awake to the fact that you have it, that you use it, and you use it every second, every minute, every hour of every day that you are here. I will put it in another fashion. My sister, eldest sister, and my father, and my best friend of 53 years no longer have that capacity because they're no longer here. We are talking about the breath. That's right. We're going to talk about how to better understand it, how to find out what its capacities are for our well-being, and how to use it in the most effective, not necessarily efficient, because efficiency isn't necessarily part of, at least from my perspective, and maybe Dr. Hanna will give us some insight in his perspective. It's not necessarily inefficient. It's there to benefit us. If we didn't have it, well, of course, we wouldn't exist. And that's what we're going to talk about today. A reminder that we're here on Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., and then Wednesdays at 9 a.m. for a special edition of Tell Me Your Story. We stream live at those times at richarddugan.com. And we are also podcasting on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Blueberry, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and many other locations. And we also post these programs, as far as they're posting on those locations, on Facebook. That's right. We have a Facebook account. Tell Me Your Story. Look for it. And then I will be posting each time I post a new conversation. I will send a link to my Facebook page. I hope you will check it out. We're also on YouTube, where you can listen to as well as watch these interviews, and we hope that you'll do that. We ask that if you can support the work that we are doing, it would be gratefully appreciated. We have a PayPal account. It is there for your security as well as ours. And we also ask that you participate in the decade of perfect vision, the 2020s, where we ask you to go within, spend some time, and we'll talk about this, I'm sure, with our guest, Dr. Paul Hanna. Spend some time breathing, consciously breathing. And with that, we're going to bring in Dr. Paul Hanna. Thank you so much for joining us again from Chicago. And let us begin talking about the breath. And most people know what it is, in through the nose, out through the mouth, or in through the mouth, out through the nose, depending upon however people do it, but there's more to it than that. And then there's a biblical passage that tells us in Genesis that, and then I did some defining of terms, God breathed the breath of life into the nostrils of Adam. But that reference isn't just to him being able to inhale and exhale, bring the air into his lungs and then exhale the CO2, I guess it is. It was, he breathed the soul, the spirit of a man into the body. Where would you like to start in regards to this subject that we're going to cover throughout this program of the breath?
I want to say good morning to everybody. I want to thank you for being I want to thank you for investing in yourself and being here. And definitely respect, definitely give a lot of gratitude, Mr. Dugan. In regards to breath, I have a lot of people that I talk about breath with. But the question is, I ask them what's the most important thing in their life. Most people don't know that. Most people tell me their family, their job, or something else. In reality, the most important thing is your breath. If you don't inhale, exhale, you go to the spirit world. That is one function of breath to keeping you alive, because the breath come in, also create energy. We all know we need energy to live. So to live, the quality is what type of live. Just inhaling it and exhaling, they will keep you alive. That is basically correct. So you need all of that for, there's a little thing called mitochondria in your body to help you make energy. So we need energy. So I must kind of summarize it. Breath is the most important because it's bringing into your body, your physical body, the ability to make energy. We need energy to the unconscious and conscious function in our body. And so that's very, very important. So in that sense, we must realize that how important is breath. And we want to talk about that natural breath, and that's a real breath. Natural breath is, so many people breathe just from their chest. They breathe from their chest, therefore they're not really using the full capacity of their lungs. They're not really maximizing themselves. And you can see that when people's afraid, they get uptight, they get anxious. And then there's a thing called, should I say, the real breath, which is, I don't know if you ever seen a little baby breathe. They're always breathing their stomach, going up and down, inhaling and exhaling. They're breathing from their belly, or we call dantian. Inhale and exhale. If I like for people just to kind of feel right now, when they inhale, do their stomach move or is their chest move? So if your stomach not moving, you're still doing what we call normal breath. It's not real breath. So it take 30 seconds, just experience yourself. Are you breathing from your chest? Or are you breathing from your dantian or your belly? The goal is for you to breathe from your belly, we call dantian, in healing or martial arts, or one of your natural centers. Because when you was being carried in your mother's womb for 9 months, you was breathing from the dantian. That's why little kids from the age of 1 up to 7, they just run and run and run and run and run. They're breathing from your dantian. So I like people to really think about themselves and think about, where do I breathe from? My chest or from my dantian? That makes a world of difference in terms of your radiant health, your energy. And so since everything is energy, you want to bring in more energy. And you want to bring in more conscious energy. I teach people when they inhale from their dantian or their belly, they bring in so much love into your body, so much energy to the body. Then they exhale harmony throughout. So that's kind of thing, like I want people to grasp those 4 points right now in the questions. But I don't want to keep going to this talking. I want them to really know breath is most important. We need breath for energy, life energy. And you have the ability to bring in more energy when you do real breathing. Okay.
I know that there are many, many techniques, breathing techniques,
Yes.
that I've experienced over the years in different practices. I have experienced these rapid breathings, that you do for a certain period of time. You don't go into hyperventilation, but you're working on. I think that I'm not 100% on this one, but for example, if you're trying to raise what's called the Kundalini energy that is talked about by Paramahansa Yogananda or others, there's a certain breathing technique that you want. There are some where you want to inhale through the mouth, but you want to make it long. And then when you exhale through the nose, or vice versa, again, there's this elongation and so forth. So there are many, many techniques. And I would take it that through the practices that you have developed, you have, again, many of those different techniques, but it takes a consciousness. And again, as you've well stated, even as a singer in school, when I was in madrigals in high school, they would use the term diaphragm, But I think
Yes.
that better to say you're singing from your belly.
Yes.
You're inhaling and the belly expands, not the chest.
Correct.
And then you have more control over the notes that you're singing. I can only imagine if you could see the belly, let's say, of an opera singer. They're usually on stage, they're full clothed in all kinds of things, so you really can't see what's happening. But I'll bet you the belly really extends and then it deflates as they exhale, as they start singing, and they're able to better control, because you can't control you can't control the song, it's the singing or the breathing with the chest muscles, because they don't have that capacity. That's not what they're there for.
Correct. What you're talking about is definitely correct. There's many, many, many types. I like to talk about for this the recording today is we call real simple breathing. And most people don't do that. That's why they get away, lose their balance, emotional balance, physical balance, and also some of the creativity. When you inhale to your dantian and your belly, you inflate. Now let's talk about from teaching someone to have anxiety. When someone who has anxiety, they have too much carbon dioxide in their body, so they feel more anxious, more upset, more frustrated. So when you inhale through your nose down to your dantian, through your belly, you inhale all the way, they hold it, then let it out slow. That you can I can pick a number. Let's say you inhale 8, hold it 2, and exhale 12 or 14. But you can't do 8, inhale in 6, hold it for 3, exhale out 9. That have been proven for a lot of my patients who don't want to get on the airplane, because they have some anxiety or they feel frustrated. It calms you down, because what you're doing is you're getting rid of the carbon dioxide. But otherwise, they go into a full panic attack. This exercise is also very big in meditation. Buddhist meditation is the same process. They want to breathe down to the dantian, a belly, hold it, they let it out. You practice that for a long time, then you begin to circulate your energy from your dantian down to your what we call huiyin. The huiyin is the point between your rectum and your genitals. And it comes up your back. That is the next step from breathing to your dantian and going down to the second phase. That's very, very beneficial for relaxation, more energy, creativity, and calmness. It's fantastic for that. It's simple. I like simple, powerful things, because you don't teach the baby to breathe. They know what to naturally do. That's why I said a natural breath is dantian to your belly. When people practice that, their life would change, with more relaxed, more calm. They get out of the stage of being reactive to a point of being conscious, responding. You know, when you're driving down the expressway, you don't have to speak a foreign language. I mean, curse people's out. You don't have to just breathe. Just breathe. You say, you know what? I'm gonna breathe, because I got so many people come in my office. I asked, "Do you speak a foreign language?" They look at me. What do you mean, Doc? I said, "Do you call people different names on the expressway?" They had to laugh. I said, "Yes, but you started inhaling and hold it, then exhale all the harmony. Just exhale." So if nothing else that people get from this, remember 3 things: breath keep us in the physical. 2, produce energy. 3, is relax you, calms you, and keep you bored in a calm, responsive state, opposed to a reactive state. In the reactive state, only thing you're hurting is your own internal body. People getting hypertension, they're getting headaches, they get anxious, they want to eat. That can lead to your A1C, your diabetes going up. It leads to cancer. So we know, all people in medicine know that stress is a big, big part of people getting dis-ease, because stress does is what? It causes stagnation of energy in your body. So you get that stagnation because you got a restriction of your anxiety, your anger. They can't flow that way. So the way to deal with that is people do it naturally, or they take some artificial something or some substance. So you have everything. When you have that natural, when that force will breathe into you, the ability to tap in 2 minds. ego mind or your divine mind.
Mhm.
Talking about to your divine mind versus your ego mind. Your ego mind, I need something to help me calm down. And the something's right there with you. Question, do you want to apply that naturally to calm down, or do you need some alcohol, some smoking, or whatever it might be, calm you down?
Mhm.
Just realize when you say about the biblical thing, it was I breathed in the soul and the spirit. That is talking about the divine aspect.
Mhm.
Then you're in a physical body. We must understand the physical body is very important, but it's also very seductive. It has you doing things that's really not really good for you on a long time period of time. I'm talking about breath is one of the most simplest, powerful things that you can do. It's so
Yeah.
powerful that most people take it for granted because it's so plentiful. In fact, you do that automatically. I said, no, come back to breath. Basic things have so much power. When I'm lecturing, I'm teaching, I'm healing, when I'm teaching anything, healing, martial, spiritual, is come back to breath first. Because the reason why we're in this physical plane right now is because of breath. Honor that with gratitude and use it. That's the most important thing that I can tell people. And when you
Hannah's
close,
Holist Hannah's HolisticHealing.com is the website. He's also the author of Remembering the Qualities of Your Soul, which we've talked about on this program with him before, as well as Qigong Awakens. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about that as we continue here on
yeah,
Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan, your host, along with Dr. Paul Hanna. And Doctor, this to me is fascinating. I do want to get into a little bit more of the metaphysical or spiritual aspects as is spoken of, but it was one of those things that was really fascinating to me as I was doing some of my own research many, many years ago. I had my Bible on one side and I had my Strong's Concordance on the other, and I started researching some of these words, and I remember seeing the word breath and spirit and so on and so forth. And I went back to Genesis where, where Adam was created and then was given life and so forth. And it was more than just the machine, the biological machine that holds, if you will, the soul, encases it, if you will. And I thought, wow, this is there's more here than just inhaling and inhaling the oxygen. The body then converts it, and then we exhale and these are names that we've given this, the CO2, the carbon, is it carbon dioxide?
yes, yes.
Yeah. And I thought, well, wait a minute, there's got to be something going on here more than just that, because of the way that it was placed into the body. And I would bet you that if someone was at the birthing of a child, of an infant, I would bet you that if the child does emerge from the womb crying, I'll bet you their belly is what's going up and down as they cry. But
It's
I wonder how many people notice that.
I'm not sure how many, but you're definitely correct. That's what happens. You had to do something to simulate that. There's two schools of thought. Some people say it's the inhale, some say it's the exhale. But regardless what school you belong to, there's a movement. And that movement has to bring in some oxygen to keep the body function from the mother down to the fetus. So that part is very important. But you got
Mhm.
to understand that's the reason why we're in the third dimension on this earth plane. We have some lessons to learn. So we put it in a body. You got to understand the laws of the physical body and the laws of the spiritual body. And so some people get too seduced to the spiritual side. I mean, to the ego side. And I'm
Yeah.
saying that, which is very important in regards to learning to come back to the divine, remembering who you are. So why is that breath so important for remembering? Because your soul, your body have free will and choice. When you conscious use your breath for the universe to develop inner oneness and universal oneness to the divine side, or you can use it to deal with your sensation exclusion. And that's why I came up. I'm getting ready to write a third book, and it's called Shine, Glow, Flow. And I say, when you can shine like the sun, glow like the moon, and flow like water, you are now dealing with a universal oneness. You're dealing with a universal problem. So the sun shines on everybody everything equally. No sexism, racism, hating, politicalism. No, no, no. The sun shines. So when you have the sunshine, love in your heart, you're shining. So you don't see no division or separation, because that is a universal one. That's the way the sun is. When you can allow yourself to align your mental body, your emotional body, your physical body, your spiritual body to the oneness, then you can glow like the moon. That is balance. And when you flow like water, water is very powerful. We are 70% water, like the earth. And it's flowing. Think about water. It's never gets stagnated like that by nature. It's always moving forward, around. It's yielding. So when people don't become water, they get stagnated. That's where disease started. That's where conflict started. Because someone got to be right and somebody got to be wrong. And both of those is inappropriate in the divine way. You have to be real and deal, otherwise leave it alone. Move forward. So it's important that we use breath to stay into the divine aspect, divine energy like the sun and the moon, the water. That can transcend. If not, you could use the breath. You find people in this country, why so much cancer? Why so much diabetes? Why so much hypertension? Why? Because we are not using our own divine and our ego mind. Our ego mind have taken over. We're not eating properly. We're not thinking properly. We're not exercising properly. So that's why we dying. If we have all the resources in the world, why are we dying more than everybody else, faster?
Yeah.
We had to say the technology. So I'm teaching people, please, when you get up in the morning, appreciate with gratitude your divine breath. Realize, two, that everything is energy. Three, you have a decision. You're going to think divine or ego mind. That's a choice. It takes you about 5 seconds. What choice am I going to do today? And in every day's opportunity to vibrate love for purification, unification. Never ever blame other people for anything. If you're feeling blaming, you're irresponsible for something that you already did. People are a mirror of some of your hidden aspects. Did they pissing you off? You got something that's hid that you don't want to deal with. So you project it to them. Then you get in a state of adolescenthood. Adolescent for anyone from 12 to 100, when they take no emotional and mental responsibility for taking action. So I'm talking to you, learn to be your own creator. Learn to be your own doctor. Learn to be your own relaxation. If nothing, then I appreciate Mr. Douglas to tell you that. The doctors can't heal you. No, they can be an adjunct to you healing yourself. There's 3 factors here. Your divine energy, the divine oneness, and the physician. They all work at a triad. But you are the leader of that. Open up. You got to be open, receptive. If you have no receptivity, nothing happens. Everything on this planet that's birthed and grown is because of receptivity. The earth, like the sperm and the egg. You got to be able to plant. It's got come from receptivity. Your mind's closed, no receptivity, doesn't happen, no growth. So I like for people to consider their own power, divine breath, profound energy. You make a choice to become your own healer, relaxator, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
because you have the power.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dr. Paul Hanna is my guest. I'm Richard Dugan, and you are listening to Tell Me Your Story. The one thing on this program that I think you probably want to get across to people is, and when you described how to breathe, not from the chest, but from the belly, you do not, correct me if I'm putting words in your mouth, you do not want this to become second nature, i.e., you learn how to do it so that you do it almost unconsciously, because that actually diminishes, in one sense, and this is just a perspective of mine, diminishes the effectiveness of the whole aspect of breathing and recognizing the divinity in each and every inhale and exhale.
So you've got a lot of things that I would say correct. Most important thing is you do it in your natural state is the real state of breathing. We have, as I said, by choice, We became too civilized. In that civilization, we caused a lot of sickness and illness. So when you go back and realize that, you got to the point, I'm really breathing from my chest. That's a conscious awareness. It might take you're 30 or 40, 50, 100 years old. Wow, I'm breathing from my chest. So you got to become a conscious practice that to get back down there. When you conscious, it will wake up that part of you that already knows that. You breathe from the so I've been doing meditation martial arts for a while. So I naturally do that now. I don't have to be conscious of that. So when you want to do best meditation, you start that, oh, is my stomach open? Open. Then all of a sudden you can remember when I breathe from there, I'm more relaxed. I'm more responsive. I'm more calm, you know. So you want to wake up that naturalness, come to the real breath which you have, to get away from the civilized breaths from your shoulders, from your chest. So practice that with consciousness. If you sit there for 2 minutes, just practice that for a while. To let it become, I was teaching a student this morning in regards to some Tai Chi. I'd like for you to practice Tai Chi, do Tai Chi, to become Tai Chi. So practice breath, then do the breath. So what I mean by do it, but some people realize, my God, my shoulder's tight. They relax your shoulders. Oh, I feel my shoulders relaxed. Well, my chin is down. Good. My back is straight. Fantastic. Now practice now. Then after doing that, we know after doing something daily, consistent with a conscious mind, at least 21 days is impregnated the subconscious mind that become part of you as a habit. So doing it constantly, get up throughout the day for 21 plus days, you impregnate your subconscious mind that become a habit for you. It's a very powerful, joyful habit. It's also enhancing, it's expansive, it's rejuvenating, and enhances your creativity. So the creative person, usually in a state of relaxation, and things can come through. You're getting subtle messages from you, your own self, or from ancestors. It comes through you because you're relaxed. You can receive. So it's powerful to be able to be aware of that. How powerful you are when you decide to breathe from a real breath, but constantly put it out. You know what? I have the power to breathe the real natural way. Just breathe. That can give me a lot. I take control of my health. I control of my thinking. Most people don't think they are follow monkeys, you know. Everybody's doing so I want to do it. But in reality, you have a powerful source. No one, Mr. Dugan, have your thumbprint out of the 9 billion, 8 billion people in this galaxy right now. So I mean, you are powerful. You are unique. Be you. When you be you and you individualize, you can harmonize. If you don't do that, you individualize, then you can't. So people practice 21 days. Become conscious with gratitude of your breath. Seriously.
Yeah. And to dovetail off of that uniqueness of each individual, I was actually listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson, I believe, and he was talking about how he says, do you know how fortunate you are as an individual to even exist in this world of over 8 billion people? And that seems like a lot of people, but think about it. Just think about you as the individual and imagine the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of sperm cells that went shooting towards the mother's egg, but only one of them got through. Maybe two. I've heard it said that's how certain types of twins come along. But yes. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing at how unique. And of course, I know this flies in the face of some folks who say, oh, stop with this whole business of the uniqueness and this specialness. And no, we need to celebrate that.
We have to celebrate our true individualized self. If you don't do that, you become personalized. When you have a personalized relationships, that's why the divorce rate is sky high in America, because they stop from the outside, the personality, not the individuality. And so many people are bit with I call it the bug of complacency, rather than the bug of courage. You have the courage to be who you are, what you are, and accepting you with love and happiness. No one can make you happy except you. So you can't go around looking at he or she with the charity to buy you a big diamond ring. You know, happiness is an internal quality that must be cultivated. Your health is responsibility. So I'm gonna give you like three H's today. Your health, your happiness, your harmony belongs to you. If you don't have that, you can always create something just the opposite of that because that's what you are. You're gonna attract what you are. You really can't attract nothing else. So if you really invested in you as an individual, create your health, your happiness, you'll be harmonized. Then when you harmonize, you can individualize with someone else. But that's not taught now. America is skyrocketing with divorces. They caught with formality and personality that cannot last. Short time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
realize your uniqueness, going back to what Mr. Duke is talking about, you're very unique, whether you like it or not. You was born that whether you like it or not. You got a purpose here. Your uniqueness, you got something no one else have. Have the courage to express that can help all.
Yeah.
That's why I said express your thumbprint. I tell people be your thumbprint. And I said, be your thumbprint.
There you go.
Yeah, so be your thumbprint, because you're special. No one else out of the 9 billion. Think about that.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Dr. Paul Hanna is our guest, and Hanna's Holistic Healing.com is the website. We encourage you to go there. We are going to be linked to him and his website as well so that you can get more information about him and the work that he does. Maybe connect with him directly so that you can do that. He and you have this on your website, so obviously it's okay to give this out. He has a phone number that you can call to connect with him. Maybe make an appointment to chat with him over the phone, or maybe through Zoom or some other method. Or if you live in Illinois or in the Chicago area, or maybe you just want to take a trip. 219-981-4800, 219-981-4800. That number is on the website, folks. Again, that website again is Hanna's Holistic Healing.com. And this is Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan, your host, and Dr. Paul Hanna is with us again here on the program. We're talking about the breath, how to optimize it, how to, so to speak, put it to its best use. But it takes not just the conscious breathing, if you will, not just the process of consciously breathing from the belly and doing that, and then it sounds like you are saying that it is possible at one point where it does become second nature. It's just now a part of you where you are breathing through the belly. If you practice it enough, I've heard people they've turned meditation into that process where they've been meditating for years and they go into their meditation chamber, room, what have you. And they just immediately click in to that inner space within that we encourage people to go into. But I wanted to ask you about our biology and how we can support this process from the standpoint of what we take into our bodies aside from the oxygen. How can we better facilitate this machine's functionality so that we can, on a regular basis, if not continuously, remember with each breath that we take in, whether we're aware of it or not, breathing from the belly, that we are a divine being, that is a divine breath, and that we are fortunate in so many ways of being able to take that breath.
Well, that's a great process you're talking about. I want to go back and talk about, you said second nature. It is first nature, but we've made it second nature by our civilization. Okay. But first nature is that way. As I said, when the baby was born, they was doing first nature. That's what came out. That's real breathing. So we got to, should I say, have 3Ds. I'm giving you 3s today. You must have a strong desire. That's in the Bible. You have to have a strong desire to come back to your naturalness. Your naturalness is maybe, and then you must have the discipline and the determination to build that reawakening, the realignment. So when you get up and you come with gratitude to the divine breath, and you say, it is my conscious decision to cultivate my radiant energy throughout my soul, my body. They're both winning when you do it that way. So when you start going down to the belly and exhale and thinking those things, very important. And that is a process people must first. Do you have the three H's? Do you have the three D's? Otherwise, we're only talking in our head. That's intellectual, and people can write it down. That's why a lot of time I let people write down in my workshops. I'm going to Vegas September to do spiritual qigong. They invited me up there because they're selling my books up there. You know, a lot of people, a lot of doctors, too much in the head, so it's hard for me to teach them. They want to analyze everything. Really, that's a form of blocking things. Then people put on their books. I come back to it. I said, have a burning desire with discipline and determination. You will get that back to first nature. And so beyond all of that is, if you look at what I said, shine, glow, flow. That's one thing I call water. Water is one of the most powerful things in your breath to bring you back to a radiancy of who you are. Because one is hydrating you, plus it's flushing you. So much, there's different quality of waters. And there's to be simple. I would say water is the next thing. How much water do you intake? How much are you flushing yourself? How much do you give yourself time to purify? How many bowel moves did you get? How many times you use today? So you might be still toxic. Breath, hydration is required. Both of those, you don't stop, you're not going to be here for a while. If you stop drinking enough water, enough breath, bye-bye, you're going to the spirit world. You know, then you make a conscious decision of what type of food you put in your body. You know if it's life-giving or just life-satisfactory. You can have one with both. But most people eat with, it tastes good. I didn't say it's good for you, but it tastes good. That affects you all the time. You got to look at that. We have a conscious, we have a conscious decision. Those three things, like, am I making a conscious decision when I'm eating my body? Is it support? You might have a condition, I call it condition, hypertension, cancer, diabetes, whatever it might be. Am I eating the food that make it worse or make it better? Because we all got a choice. We know. Do you have the desire to become radiant, healthy, harmonious, and happy? Do you have enough determination, desire, and discipline to go through that? So to answer your question, simply, I would say breath, water, food, and exercise. What kind of exercise? I'm huge on stretching. Mr. Dugan, what does the animal do when they first wake up in the morning?
They stretch.
They stretch.
Yes, they do.
They stretch. Well, they know naturally what to do. What do we usually do? Well, we probably go to the bathroom, get some coffee, tea, or something, but we're not stretching. We're not stretching. And I teach my students, you got to stretch. You must have your balance. Follow nature. All the wise men from earth, they always looked at nature, looks outside. What are the guys doing? I'm asking people in this audience today, become conscious of your divine breath. You have the divine will to make a free will and choice to create what you like, your health, your happiness, your harmony. If you don't have that, you ask yourself, you like yourself enough?
Yeah.
In reality, a lot of people don't like themselves. They tell you intellectually they do, but they actually say just the opposite. They say, yeah, I like myself. Yeah, really? Do you feed yourself? Did you drink? Do you stretch? Do you think positive? I teach all of my people coming here to see me for workshops or private session. I said, well, must have a gratitude journal. Must have a gratitude journal. You must write 7 things a day. That's your divine self. Feed it. Do you look in the mirror and say, look at yourself? Do you totally accept you? Do you like you, love you, appreciate you? Are you finding some fault? Well, this don't look right. This don't feel right. But what do feel right? Tell yourself some positive, talk stuff to yourself, Some basic stuff that cause so much disease in people. They don't feed the true stuff. They don't feed it. They don't stretch it. It's nothing like that. So I'm answering your question by saying some simple things, but very powerful in regards to breathing, have desire, determination, create the three H's.
Hmm. Yeah.
And do you have gratitude? Do you actually stretch in the morning? People don't just one day get stiff.
No.
You see the baby, they can sit down, spread free, they can do yoga any kind of way. They open this away.
Yeah.
And one because of that is because it's the mindset, but also because of the the diet. We eat a lot of dairy product that can tighten you up.
Mm,
Especially very important.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember talking with a woman on this program, and she was saying that very same thing, that we were talking about animals specifically on the program. But she said that we need to mimic the animals. And of course, I've used the phrase on this program many, many times that nature is our greatest teacher. And all you have to do is look around. I was actually cutting weeds the other day after all of the rain that we had here in California. And it's actually the second time around. And they were a little thinner, but they were still tall and everything. And they were growing and going crazy and everything. And it was like, wow, these plants, some of them were still green. A lot of the grass was already yellow, but some of these plants were still green because they had found water somewhere in that soil that
Yeah.
allowed them to continue to grow and flourish. And then some of them were actually taller than me. And I had to unfortunately cut them down because we need to make the place fire safe as much as possible. But even watching the animals that have come upon the property, we had a flock of turkeys, we've had deer, we actually had a bear up on the property, and so forth, and quail. And it's been fascinating to watch. We have 3 cats, and I see them like when one of our cats will dig its claws into the carpet and then will bend down, its head down and its hind end up. They're stretching. It's not just that they're pulling on their claws, they're actually stretching. And the dog does the same kind of thing, both forward and backward, to stretch out those legs, those not arms, but anyway. But it's it's like, okay, let's do this. And so every once in a while, yeah, okay, everybody stretch, and then that's what we need to do, because it does rejuvenate us, and get as they say, the blood circulating. That's something I want to talk about as we continue talking with Dr. Paul Hanna here on Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan, your host, and we're talking with Dr. Paul Hanna. Hanna's holistichealing.com is the website. I wanted to ask you in regards to, I mean, again, none of these systems are independent of one another. Every system is connected to the other in some way, shape, or form. So I don't want to compartmentalize too much here, but in terms, they say that life is in the blood. And it circulates throughout the body, and it helps to, it's sort of another filtration system, and so on and so on and so on and so on. And yet there are people who, and again, I say this, I am not shaming anybody. I'm concerned about your health. If you are overweight, it bothers me that our society is starting to glorify the heavy person. And it's like, I'm not here to shame anybody. I'm saying, do you understand that your body was not designed to carry that much weight? And that I was watching this one program, Doc, that the very heavy set woman, and she has one of the most beautiful voices that you have ever heard, just gorgeous. But I ask myself, how long are you going to be able to share that with the world with the size that you are? Because your heart can't handle it, your limbs can't handle it, your circulatory system, and on and on and on and on. What are your thoughts in this regard to helping people to recognize that if you have a gift, you recognize your divinity and so forth, but you're carrying around this massive vehicle, your gift isn't, you're not going to be able to share your gift for very long. I lost my best friend. He wasn't really heavy, but he didn't take care of himself. He died at the age of 62. I knew him for 53 of those 62 years. And, and every time I think about him, I have to laugh because of a lot of the things that we did together in grade school, high school, and college. Well, let's talk a little bit about this, about people who are, they're calling it obese. Some categories, it's grossly obese. And it's like, oh, it's okay. It's all right. We're not going to shame these people. We're going to let them be the way that they are. It's like, but it's not healthy for them. That's really my bottom line.
You said a lot there, and you got to look at the way I look at it from a holistic spiritual point of view. And you understand, I totally agree with you. They are glorifying obesity. They make it men's clothes, I know for sure. If you say you are large, that's real large. Well, guess what they do is they make the extra large a large, and now they feel like they're large to accommodate that. But obesity is a clothing is a business thing. It's about business. It's about you make the clothes people buy. You got to we live in a society where money and clothing, that fashion is huge. Then you look at it for another things to people who are obese. I say, what caused that? What caused them to constantly violate and put their health at risk? You say, do they like themselves? Or they say they kind of protect themselves? It's many ways that I've talked with people. So for a lot of females, one is family, two is physical or sexual abuse. Because when she physically or sexually abused, she makes herself real obese. She feels she's not attracted anymore. With some men, it's the same thing, as well as it's a habit of deflection. And food is the big thing where they feel I can get self-soothing. And is it right or wrong? I don't get off until I get off like each individual calls. And they came here knowing how to not deal with those kinks, the emotional, spiritual kinks. So therefore, food, drugs, or gambling, whatever it is, a way to offset that. They're dealing with something that's not balanced inside of them. And what the clothing industry have done is just take advantage of that addiction or that abuse. Do I think of right or wrong? What I think it is the issue that we have to look at and talk about. What is the cause of people self-accepting obesity that knowingly affects their health? Do I judge them? No. Can I help them when they're receptive? That is one of the questions asked me in med school. You have to accept people where they are. Otherwise, you're violating. Now I'm getting back into spiritual. You're violating their own lesson, their own karma. Mm-hmm. But when they really help you, you talk it. You can write about it and talk about it. What people accept that. Just a lot of good reason.
Yeah.
The question is, how can I help them based on their receptivity? That's how I frame it. How can I help based on receptivity? When they come in, I can connect. We connect. We start doing untying some of those knots. What happened for you to get addicted to food to hide your own? I call it your own imbalance, your own kinks. But that's what it is. That's how I see it that way. But it can be changed based on receptivity. But some people think it's okay to eat rather to expose their cause of their addiction or whatever the reason they're doing it.
Yeah. And I do understand what you're saying. And I just bring that up at this particular point because I want people who, everyone has a gift. Everyone has an ability that they are here to share, a life's purpose. And I want everybody to be able to do that. And I'm not going to force anybody to do anything in terms of their health or their well-being. It's up to each one of us. We have to make those decisions. We have to make those choices as we talk about choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. I was at one point, and I think am I 5'9"? I can't remember now. 5'9". I was at 200 pounds. Now, the weight itself, the physical weight didn't bother me. It was the number. I said, no, 200 is not my number. Now, I'm not even sure what I weigh now because I haven't been able to find a scale. I know there's one around here somewhere, but I've been down as low as 175. And this was when I had my gallbladder removed. Not that my gallbladder was that heavy, but I made a choice because I want to be around for another, 37 years or more if I can. I want to make it to 100, doing these kinds of programs, talking with people such as yourself and discussing these issues that we really need to talk about, if nothing more, to share the information, not to convince anybody of anything, but saying, hey, here are the ideas, consider the possibilities. That's why we put out this smorgasbord table here on Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan, your host, and Dr. Paul Hanna is my guest here on the program. We've had him on a few times prior, and we'll have him on again down the road as well to talk about other subjects. Today, it's the breath, it's breathing, it's optimizing that process of breathing. And I like health, happiness, and harmony, the three H's. And I have to tell you, Doc, in the last few years, I have been working hard to get my health in order. I think that even if I was to stop taking my high blood pressure meds, I think my blood pressure has dropped down to normal, because of late, my blood pressure has been more around 100 over 75 or 80, rather than say 150 or 160 over. And I don't know if that's the meds. I don't know what it is. And I won't know unless I were to, say, wean myself off and see where it went and monitor it. It's the blood sugar that's really troubling me. And I want to talk about the emotional aspects of our being and how it affects our biology, because I didn't change my diet 3 months ago. And all of a sudden, my biology said, nah, your blood sugar's high. I mean, we're talking about diabetes high again. And I kicked it 3 years ago. And then I started reading where even if you haven't changed your diet, if there are stressors in your life, they can contribute to a higher blood sugar reading. And so it's like, okay, it seems to me like what you're telling us here today is something I need to do. And that is, I need to start consciously breathing from the belly to release the stress so that the blood sugar will get back down where it's supposed to be. And I wasn't taking meds for the last 3 years, and the blood sugar was normal. And then all of a sudden, and I think this was right after my father's passing in early March 1st, that my blood sugar started to rise, because I had 2 family members who are gone. Then I just experienced my very best friend, and he's now gone, and so on. And then other stressors in my life. Am I on the right track in terms of understanding why I have the condition I have, as you like to call it, and how
Yes.
I can bring it back into, even if it's the high normal range?
Yes, I would say that you're going in the real direction. I would say that there's some things you can look at to refine it a little bit. In regards, you said number one, as I said earlier, stress is one of the number one things for inducing stagnation. And that could be anywhere in your pancreas, your liver, your heart, doesn't matter where it is. Stress affects us in many different ways in our body. So if someone have diabetes, you're asking what are they doing, just in general, how they internalize their stress. In regards to your case, you gave me good scenarios in regards to people since March is a good time to look at when they start rising. How did you say release your father? How did you release your friend? What I mean by release, you celebrate their life, you release them with love, and you release them. Even though I teach people going through grief, I still say you might be going through the grief right now, and the grief going to impact you. It's going to affect a lot in your body if you haven't went through. So for people have that kind of condition, I ask them, even they have also with high blood pressure, I said, have you talked with your liver? You say what he talked about. Have you talked with your liver? Because hypertension comes from two predominant organs, kidney and liver. And I asked how they talk with it. Have you released any kind of frustration, irritation, anger that's down there? And how you send love specifically to your liver? I sent it stuff. That's in anger, frustration, agitation, indecisiveness. And that's also can go to the gallbladder. And so that indecisiveness, all those things, the liver and gallbladder connect. So therefore, there's a connection in that system that's not need to be balanced and cleaned up. And so there's herbs and different things people can take to really make that liver come back to its optimal.
Mm.
So you have to look at that. But I start with energy of healing Qigong that could be beneficial and looking at your liver. And it said it works a lot, it detox a lot, but you can start consciously sending energy there to relax any type of thing that might be harboring there that you're unaware. That's what I tell my patient. And in regards to the kidney, it's the same. Kidney represent fear. You don't know if you're gonna make it. Like in a lot of Black and brown communities, a lot of fear going on there. And so that's why you look around. I submitted dialysis machines in this country, predominantly in that neighborhood, because people don't know the state of the economy, life, health, all those are real situations. You don't know it, it goes back to the kidney.
Mm.
So people try to make their life go. Would they grade this, whatever it is, your kidney is affected. If the anger and frustration, the liver is affected. They both present hypertension. But some physicians treat both with the same modality. No, it's a different reason, but present the same. You got to sit down and talk to the patient. What's going on here? You be honest about that and let them talk. This is my life.
Mm-hmm.
This is my situation. So grief is very powerful. Can bring up anger and grief, anger and fear. And fear about how's my life, what I'm gonna do, what am I doing to contribute, what's going on with me.
Yeah.
And so because all of a sudden it brings one to their own potential mortality. And the question is, I tell people, are you in the present? What? I said, are you in the present? They say, what are you talking about? Well, are you thinking about tomorrow, next year, what might be, what could be? But I'm gonna deal with what it is. What is it right now you're doing to maximize your potential to be here 20 years from today? They say, what? I say, are you present with yourself? Most people are not present. They're not present when they eat. They're not present with eating. They're not present with being intimate. They're not present. They're going through a function. So you're missing a lot of the vital energy, connectivity, spirituality when you're not present with yourself. So you definitely can't be with anybody else. It's a superficial gathering and togetherness, but that becomes habitual.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that I don't have to worry about the gallbladder because it was taken out 2 years ago.
Yes.
Apparently, it was very infected and had a golf ball size gallstone in it. It's funny because the 2 days before I had it removed, I was sitting at work, I was having my lunch, and all of a sudden I'm feeling this pain in my stomach. And I'm going, oh man, that sandwich didn't go down too well. That must be indigestion. All right. Typical guy thing. It's just indigestion, you know? And of course, by 10 o'clock that night, my wife said, we're going to the doctor. We're going to the emergency room. And of course, it was an infected gallbladder. But I noticed something interesting as you're talking here. You say the gallbladder and the liver are connected in that respect. And that from a metaphysical or spiritual perspective, that both the gallbladder and the liver are sort of the seats of anger. That's kind of where our anger comes from. We'll store it there, so to speak, and it'll come out every so often. And it used to be that when, let's just say, for example, a glass of spilt milk, and now I got to clean it up. After the gallbladder was removed, my experience is now, it's like that little sliver of frustration and then laughter, like, no big deal. And I honestly believe that maybe that's part of the reason why my blood pressure has dropped down, and that maybe there is a point at which I can say, you know what? I don't need these specific medications anymore because I'm not dealing with the outside world the way that I was prior. Now, I'm not advocating, okay, folks, everybody go out and have your gallbladder removed. No, I'm not saying that at all. But
No.
for
Yes.
me, that's been my experience. It's been very interesting. We're talking with Dr. Paul Hanna, and you are listening to Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan, your host, and Doctor, there's so much more that we could discuss here on the program, but then it would turn into a 5 or 6 hour podcast. And I don't know that
Yes.
people will hang in there for that long. But what we're going to do here is we're going to invite you back for another conversation. And we'll have another topic on the table, because I think that this whole aspect of the dealing with our energy,
Yes.
our energy flow, our energy blockages, is something that that we need to talk about, and we'll maybe refine that a little bit more for a specific subject, like we did today with breathing. And I thank you so much for giving us the time. I know that you've got to practice there, and you got to get to your patients and everything, but thank you so much for giving us this time and information.
Thank you for allowing me to be sunshine. Say the sunshine, sunshine, because I'm having the courage to show my thumbprint. As I do that, it goes out like the sun. So yes, I'm honored, and thank you for having me here. The next topic is it's about spiritual blockage based on your conscious thought, because you don't know which one you really manifest, your ego mind or your divine mind, and that addiction to which one of them, whatever it is, will cause a problem. It will stop your shine. Put it like that.
I love it. Okay, that will be our next subject. We'll definitely be having you back in the next month or so to have that conversation. Before I let you go, as I do this with guests who are on here 3, 4, 5, 6 times over the course of the programming, and I ask them these 3 questions. They change a little bit every so often, but I'm going to ask you those. But first, I want to thank you for listening to and watching Tell Me Your Story. New paradigms for a new world, where we're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. And we are here on Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., and Wednesdays at 9 a.m. That's our special edition of Tell Me Your Story. We stream live at those times at richarddugan.com, and we have a podcast at SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Blueberry, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and many other locations. And we're on YouTube. That's right. You can listen to and watch these interviews. We'll also be linked to Dr. Paul Hanna's website, and that is hannasHolisticHealing.com. We certainly hope that you will go there. We ask that if you can support the work that we are doing financially, we would greatly appreciate that. That's why we have a PayPal account. It's there for your security as well as ours. And we thank you also for participating in the Decade of Perfect Vision, where we ask you to spend time going within, listening to that still small voice, and continuing to breathe from the belly. Breathe from the belly, and notice the difference. Be consciously aware of how that changes you in whatever areas, at whatever level. It makes a difference. Love to hear from you. Email address is richard@richarddugan.com. Would love to hear from you in regards to how this has affected you. With all of that being said, let's go to our final 3 questions for our guest here on the program. And the first of those is, who is Paul Hanna?
Divine being, being sunshine.
What is your life's purpose?
To shine, spread universal love.
And what was your life's, what was your best day?
I would say I'm in the present, because I'm in the present time, because the best it is right now, because I'm not attached. It's given me an opportunity to purify, amplify, and transmit to you and the whole audience. That's the best for me right now. Stay present. Be present. Be real. So many people, I'm telling you, even it's not present. When they're eating, not present. There's some schools of thought, is you don't even talk, you at the table, you're eating with your wife, friends, whoever it might be. You just eating, no conversation. Enjoy with the food, tasting this, how the food is present with the foods. It's hard, but it's a process of being one.
Absolutely. Well, again, Dr. Paul Hanna, thank you for being with us here on the program. And again, I thank you for listening to and watching Tell Me Your Story. And until our next broadcast, podcast, video cast, this closing gets longer every time. Love to Lal. Jeanette, I'm still listening. Dad, be happy. And Doug, I'm still laughing.
Very nice.